Tonight, showtime. The bands. The fans. And the jams. Hundreds of thousands turn out for one big blowout of a concert. Reality check.
Binocs, get your binocs!
How much of a benefit will there be from the benefit? Hot spot. Dramatic home video of the dangerous fire in southwest Alberta. Gas in the Gulf Islands.
Across the Strait of Georgia, past Eterna Island, South Pender Islands.
An environmental panel gives the go-ahead to a controversial pipeline.
The National. From the Canadian Broadcasting Centre, here is Mark Kelly.
Good evening. Well, Toronto is still rocking tonight after the biggest concert in Canadian history. The all-day event attracted more than 400,000 people there to see a long list of performers, capped off, of course, by the Rolling Stones. Now, the concert has several goals: to put Toronto back on the map after the SARS epidemic and to raise money for healthcare and hospitality workers hurt by the outbreak. But for most of the people at the show, it was all about enjoying some great music and having a great time. Well, Cass Rusi has been covering the concert. She joins us now. Cass.
Thank you, Mark. Some fireworks going on behind us right now. Woodstock in a month, SARS Stock, call it what you want, but this concert is over. And it ended on a spectacular performance by the Rolling Stones, who gave this crowd truly satisfaction tonight. Of course, all of the euphoria started hours ago when the gates to this venue opened up. They waited all night, so by 8 a.m., as the gates to the concert venue opened, the mad dash began. By lunchtime, the crowd was settling in for a day-long concert, the most anticipated musical spectacle this year. In the crowd were people of all ages.
It's like the biggest concert ever, so, you know, like, why wouldn't I come?
Who are you here to see?
Everybody, except Justin Timberlake.
Having a good time. I never thought I'd be at the Rolling Stones with my son.
Everybody enjoying the day? It's excellent. Beautiful day. Couldn't ask for anything more.
Hey, all right.
Canada's Dan Aykroyd was first up with his sidekick, Jim Belushi.
I love you, Toronto.
And a surprise guest, another Canadian, Catherine O'Hara, showed up.
You've been through so much, and you come through.
Lesser-known Canadian acts like Kathleen Edwards got the crowd excited, as did Sam Roberts. The performances weren't restricted to the stage. In the air, skydivers made a colorful entrance, and there was a fly past by a CF-18. The hot weather was a challenge, with hundreds suffering from heat exhaustion. The concert is a fundraiser for hospitality and healthcare workers hurt by SARS.
There is nothing wrong with our beach. This is the best of the East and the West.
But there was also an opportunity to give Western beef farmers a boost.
Best beef in the world. Right?
Mad cow has hurt the beef industry, so Western premiers were out in full force doing their part.
I'll bet you $10 billion, all the money you've got, Cass, that not one person gets mad cow disease. I'll bet you.
This is a wonderful country, and every so often it's very important for the country to come together to really support Canadians in everything.
But clearly the crowd is here for the headline act.
Just for the Stones.
8 weeks ago we were asked to do this, and you know, we looked at it and we were on tour in Europe and we had some other dates, and we moved those other dates around in Europe and decided we would do this.
Lots of souvenirs are being peddled.
Rolling Stones!
Half of the Stones' merchandising profits will go to the SARS Relief Fund.
Listen what I say.
By early evening, the massive crowd was taking care of business with Winnipeg's The Guess Who. And Rush. Evening set in with cooler temperatures and Australia's AC/DC. And finally, the pièce de résistance, the Rolling Stones. You know, tonight before Mick Jagger started his performance, he told the crowd that this is truly the biggest party he's ever seen and that Toronto is back. I believe that a lot of SARS-weary officials are hoping that the British rocker is truly right. Mark.
Cass Rusi, thanks so much for your work tonight. Well, when today's concert was originally planned, its organizers saw it as a kind of high-profile fundraiser, raising money for those affected by SARS and raising Toronto's profile around the world. Today, concert-goers, as we saw, packed the site, proving the show was a success. But were the event's other goals met? Krista Erickson reports.
It is an impressive show of support. Hundreds of thousands of people, here in part, to help those hurt by the SARS crisis and put Toronto back on the map. An event also touted to create jobs for workers in Toronto's battered tourism sector. Liberal MP Dennis Mills, a key concert organizer, has said objective number one is to put everyone in the hotel and hospitality industries back to work. But that will take some time. This Toronto hotelier says today's concert is only a start.
We need them for the next couple of days. Unfortunately, then when Thursday comes, they go back into layoff status.
Healthcare and hospitality workers are also getting a share of ticket and some concession sales. The goal to raise $1 million. But some have questioned whether it's worth the $6 million in public money spent on organizing the event.
That's a pretty lousy return on tax dollars to help people who need help now and can't find work.
But organizers say taxes on ticket sales and the economic spin-offs from today's concert will end up making money.
Unfortunately.
As for repairing Toronto's damaged image, there was hope there would be a lot of Americans in this crowd who would spend money on food and hotels. But the attendance numbers so far don't reflect that. Organizers put 150,000 tickets on sale in the U.S., but only 45,000 were sold.
The world should see this is Canadian beef and it is delicious!
And a reminder of another plight. Canadian beef sold here was designed to send a message to the world: beef from Canadian farms is safe. Organizers hoped the event would help break the ban on Canadian beef in the U.S. caused by mad cow disease.
I don't think that it's going to break the ban, but it's certainly going to demonstrate that hundreds of thousands of people are going to be eating Canadian beef.
Today, word that the cost of the event is escalating. Ontario taxpayers will provide another $1 million. The federal government plans to come up with more too, though these key organizers won't say how much or why it's needed.
Yeah, we're not accountable to the media for what we're accountable to Parliament.
And with an estimated $50 million boost to Toronto's economy, it will likely take some time to measure the benefits that will materialize from the concert, though organizers seem confident it could be the start of a much-needed revitalization for Toronto. Krista Erickson, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, now to one very satisfied fan at today's concert. He's Toronto's Liberal MP, Dennis Mills, of course, one of the key organizers of today's show, and he joins me now. Well, where do we start, Dennis? First, your impressions of this show. Was it a success in your eyes?
Well, Mark, I think it was a tremendous success. Obviously, we still have a few hours to go, and we hope that everyone gets home safely. But in terms of bringing people together from not only all across Canada, but from all over the United States, even though the numbers were not as high as we had targeted. To get 50,000 Americans here that's the largest convention size that we would ever have in this country. But more importantly, we must remember what our first objective was. Our first objective was to sort of take this event as a basis of sending a message around the world that Toronto was a safe place to come and do business, whether it's in the motion picture industry, convention industry, and that will ultimately lead to filling up our hotel rooms.
But do you have any concern, and I guess the point was raised in our story here, that some feel it may be a one-day wonder. Do you have any concern about this, that there will be a lasting benefit from the show?
Well, I think that you always have a coalition of antis when you take on something like this. And the antis will always be around no matter how well you do. The facts really are resting, though, with the Canadian people. Today we had 4 premiers here. We had like nearly every province was represented here today in our quarter-of-a-mile-long barbecue. We had artists from all over the world represented here today. I mean, we were in all over United States military and our own military, our peacekeepers in the Golan Heights. I mean, we were sending a signal today that Toronto is back in business, and quite frankly, this is a beginning of sort of a revitalization, not just of Toronto, but the whole country. You must never forget that 8 weeks ago, there was an image out there that Toronto was a place that was not safe for people to travel to and do their business. I think this is a beginning of a turn.
Just give me your personal impressions as well, Dennis, because as we mentioned, you worked a lot to actually bring the show to fruition. How did you feel tonight as you looked out and saw that crowd of 400,000 plus people?
Well, quite frankly, it was well over 500,000, Mark. I mean, we know that. I was the federal coordinator for World Youth Day, and I can tell by the footprint of people that were on this park tonight. I felt pretty good, but I'll tell you what I felt really good about was the cooperation with not just the city, the provinces, Molson Canadian, who stepped up to the plate along with AMP Dominion, because Canadians said we do not want to use taxpayers' money to pay for artists. So this was a great coalition of men and women who wanted to say Canada is a great place to sort of do business. And I think we've created a new paradigm here, and I hope it can go on and we can work this way in other sectors.
Dennis Mills, thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks, Mark.